Do you ever wonder about the little things in Star Citizen? The things that feel like they should mean something? Maybe you've heard an NPC mutter a line that sounds like it came straight out of a bigger story. Or you've walked past a sign, a poster, a statue, and thought, wait, what's the story behind that? Or, as we're all about to do with the release of 4.4, you're jumping into a new system and you feel like everything has a past that is just not quite telling you. It's begging to be heard, though. Unless you dig through old archives and Galactopedia entries, that story stays hidden. Star Citizen is full of deep lore, centuries of in-universe history, political drama, revolutions, corporations, crashed empires, characters who shape the very places we explore. But that information is scattered. You're not going to find most of it in the game, if any. It's everywhere and nowhere. So how do you find it? And how do you make sense of it? Well, friends, that's where my new series comes in. Welcome to LorBits, bite-sized lore journeys that help you understand the stories behind the systems, the stations, the factions, and the people who built the verse we fly through today. So, enter orbit with me, and let's travel through the history that built the galaxy we know. And with patch 4.4 right around the corner, bringing Nyx into the game, there's no better place to start than with the most rebellious independent system in the galaxy. The Nyx system is one of the most distinctive places in Star Citizen, not because of bustling cities or strategic military value, but because of what it represents: resistance, survival, and the determination to live beyond Imperial reach. I bet you didn't know that. Before Nyx became known for Levski or the People's Alliance, it began as a remote star system that the UEE didn't consider worth claiming at all. Nyx was discovered in 2582 when the solo nav jumper Carla Larry opened the jump point from Bremen. Her official report to the UEE was blunt. Nyx had no worlds worth terraforming and no reason to invest significant resources. She even joked by giving the planets unofficial nicknames that were just never accepted. That early dismissal had long-term consequences, because when the UEE doesn't want a system, it tends to become a home for people that the UEE doesn't want either. Despite the lack of habitable planets, Nyx did hold something valuable: asteroid resources. During the 26th century, QV Planet Services set up mining operations in the Glacium asteroid belt, carving deep industrial tunnels into a large asteroid called Delamar. But Nyx's harsh environment made operations very expensive, and eventually QV abandoned the entire facility rather than pay to dismantle it. When they pulled out, Delamar became a hollowed-out shell full of empty tunnels, unused infrastructure, and living space that could be repurposed. That vacancy set the stage for everything that follows. In 2655, right in the middle of the Messer dictatorship, a group of political dissidents opposed the regime discovered the abandoned Delamar site. The Messers ruled the UEE through surveillance, censorship, propaganda, and the violent suppression of dissent. People who questioned the empire, activists, intellectuals, workers who fought for rights were arrested, silenced, or they disappeared. For many, the only way to survive was to find a place beyond the Empire's reach. That's what Delamar represented. The dissidents moved into QV's vacated mining complex and began transforming it into something new: a self-governed, anti-authoritarian community built on mutual support and political freedom. They named the settlement Levski, after Vasil Levski, a historical Bulgarian revolutionary who fought against tyranny. The choice of name was intentional, a public declaration of their ideals. The founders organized under a group known as the People's Alliance. Their declaration, which is still posted in Levski today, outlines their goals: a society where ideas can be expressed freely, where all sentients are equal, and where communities support one another without oppressive rule. As news spread, more anti-Messer activists arrived: teachers, artists, miners, pacifists, radicals, and everyday citizens who simply wanted a life away from the Imperial control. Levski grew into a symbol, a pocket of political resistance inside an unclaimed system that the Messers ignored. As a side note, many have already seen the statue. This is where the Anthony Tanaka statue enters Levski's identity. Tanaka's death as a child laborer became one of the major sparks of anti-Messer sentiment across the Empire, and honoring him became a statement of defiance. We'll do another LorBit on Anthony Tanaka later. Anyhow, this same characteristics that made Levski a refuge also made it vulnerable. Because Nyx is unclaimed, and because Levski refuses UEE oversight, the system eventually attracted people with very different intentions. Pirates hiding from UEE patrols, thieves and smugglers looking for a quiet foothold, and opportunistic criminals using Levski's openness as cover. Canon sources make it clear that this wasn't something the People's Alliance wanted. In fact, they openly oppose criminal behavior because it undermines their ideals and risks drawing the kind of Imperial tension they've tried to avoid for centuries. But an unpoliced frontier attracts all kinds, and over time, Levski became a mix of political dissidents, honest miners, fringe settlers, and a criminal element that operates in the shadows. This tension is one of Nyx's defining features. The struggle between a community built on principle and outsiders who exploit its independence. When the Messer regime finally collapsed in 2792, Levski didn't join the UEE. It remained independent, continuing as a free town with its own cultures, its own rules, and an ongoing belief in self-determination. The People's Alliance is far less radical today, but their influence remains. Levski is still politically minded, still self-regulated, and still wary of Imperial involvement. Over time, Nyx became known as a refuge for anyone looking to live off the grid, whether for political reasons, economic freedom, or simply personal choice. That mix naturally brought in less savory elements too: smugglers, opportunists, and criminals, creating the tension that defines Nyx today. So at its core, Nyx isn't just another star system. The system that the UEE didn't want turned into a community built by the people that the Messers didn't want. A system shaped by political oppression, defiance, and the determination to build a life beyond the reach of empires. Levski stands today as the living legacy of that history, a reminder of the years of dictatorship, the sacrifices of dissidents, and the belief that even abandoned places can become symbols of freedom. Friends, that wraps up our very first episode of LorBits. So tell me, did you enjoy this dive into Nyx? If so, go ahead and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to explore next. Drop your requests in the comments below. I love seeing what y'all come up with, and your idea might just become the next LorBit episode. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll orbit a whole new piece of Star Citizen lore together.